Well, good evening. Welcome to Bedtime Stories with me, Pastor Michelle. Today's Thursday, January 14th, and our Disney story of the day comes from the movie Bug's Life and is called Abracadabra. Manny was not at his best. Gypsy could tell. Already that day, he had lost 2 magic wands and stepped on his turban. And with the matinee show at P.T. Flea's World's Greatest Circus about to begin, Gypsy knew she had to be on her toes. "Ladies and gentlemen," Manny announced, "prepare to be stunned and amazed by the levitating, flaming, and disappearing water torture chamber of death. You will watch as my lovely and talented assistant, Gypsy, climbs inside this chamber." Manny motioned toward the empty takeout box at his side. "Where I will bind her hands and feet, then I will fill the chamber with water, seal it, levitate it 5 inches off the ground, and I will set it ablaze. And finally, you will watch in awe as the chamber disappears before your very eyes." Manny and Gypsy had rehearsed the act thoroughly. Everything was planned down to the last detail. But if one little thing went wrong with the trick, Gypsy could be in big trouble. As it turned out, one little thing didn't go wrong. 3 big things went wrong. First, Manny tied Gypsy's hands and feet together too tightly. Then he filled the chamber too high with water. Finally, he locked the trap door. Together, he and Gypsy had rigged an escape hatch in the back side of the takeout box. Once Manny sealed her inside, Gypsy wiggled out of her bonds, opened the trap door, and unseen by the audience, escaped from the chamber before Manny levitated it, set it on fire, and made it disappear. Luckily, Gypsy hadn't left anything to chance. She had stowed a sharp shard of glass inside the box. She had learned to hold her breath for 10 minutes, and she had put a release latch on the inside of the trap door, just in case Manny forgot to leave it unlocked. She was safely out of the chamber in 1 minute flat. At the end of the trick, Manny called Gypsy in front of the audience. "How did you do it, my dear?" he asked dramatically. "It was magic," she replied with a smile and a sigh of relief. "Oh, magic. I think it's good to believe in a little bit of magic in the world. God knows we need something to get us through our days, right?" So let's hear about Mary Lillian Ellison, and her nickname was the Fabulous Moolah. All right, and there she is. So I love hearing about these different women. They're very inspiring. So Lillian, as she liked to be called, was born in South Carolina, and she spent her childhood picking cotton and playing with her 12 older brothers. One night, her dad took her to a professional wrestling match. At that time, wrestling was more about acting and showmanship than athletic ability. And to that, I would say it's still probably a little bit like that. It was a wild night of colorful characters and over-the-top action, and Lillian wanted to be part of it. Her dad and brothers were against the idea of her becoming a lady wrestler. But when anyone told Lillian she couldn't do something, she was determined to prove them wrong. And she did. She started out as a valet or ringside assistant for a male wrestler known as the Elephant Boy. She would enter the ring, brush his hair to make it wild and bushy, and then kiss him on the cheek. He'd grunt and growl and toss his opponent around. But Lillian wasn't content to be anyone's valet. She wanted to be a wrestler and a star. On May 26, 1949, she had her first match. It was a very boring match. She needed a gimmick, something to make people pay attention. When asked why she wanted to wrestle, Lillian had a sassy answer. For the moolah. That was when Lillian became the Fabulous Moolah. She was getting more matches and quickly realized that crowds loved a villain. So she gave them what they wanted. Lillian used a lot of flashy and not quite condoned wrestling moves. Flying drop kicks, scissor holds, body slams. The more outrageous, the better. Her signature move was the moolah whip. Lillian would grab her opponent's hair and whip her around the ring. Lillian was also known to hide a pipe in her tights and take it out when the referee wasn't looking. She'd bonk her opponent with it, then hide it again. Soon the fans would be screaming wildly at the referee to disqualify her. But she wasn't done yet. She'd wave the pipe, let her opponent grab it, then have the referee disqualify her. Lillian didn't care if the fans cheered, booed, or called wrestling fake, just so they paid attention, and they did. The Fabulous Moolah held the title of Women's Championship of the World for almost 30 years, winning her last match when she was 76. In 1995, she was the first woman inducted into the World Wrestling Entertainment Hall of Fame. And entertaining sums up her perfectly. My gosh, can you imagine wrestling at the age of 70 in the 70s? When I hear about these women, I just pray that when I'm that age, that I still have energy and I'm still able to do, maybe not wrestling, but I'm still pretty active. So anyway, God bless you all, my friends. Stay safe.